Good morning. Happy Mother's Day. I hope everybody's having a great day and hope you have a great day planned. Be sure and contact your mother. Tell her you love her and you appreciate her. If you can buy her a card, that'd be great. If not, make her one. So, how many of you know what this is? It's a PB&J sandwich, right? My grandson loves these things. Well, how many of you groan every time you see a PB&J sandwich? Maybe you go to school and it's in your lunchbox, or your mom and dad are busy and they make you a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Maybe you get tired of having the same thing every day. Maybe your thing is bologna sandwich or ham sandwich or whatever it is that you may eat. Maybe you get tired of having the same old thing every day. And sometimes when we eat the same thing every day, it gets old and we get tired of it and we want something else, something new. It's easy to lose sight of the fact that the PB&J sandwich stands for something. It means something. It means that someone cares enough to fix you a lunch, buy you a sandwich, either if you're homeschooled, make you a sandwich, make sure the stuff is there for you to make a sandwich. Someone has to buy that. Someone has to go out and get it. If you go to school, there's people there that prepare them. Somebody has to pay for those sandwiches. So remember that those things mean something. There's somebody, and it's usually your mom, that loves you enough to make sure you have something to eat and to feed you every day. So moms, they usually make it happen. Moms do all kind of things that we take for granted. We just take it for granted that the things that they do. Moms are always putting our needs ahead of their own. And just because they love you, that's why they do it. I had a good mom, or have a good mom, and she always put me and my brother ahead of herself. Always. And moms work hard. They deserve as much thanks and love as we can give. So tell your mama thank you. Tell her you appreciate her. And tell her you love her. You know, there's a lot of things in this life that we get to choose. But one thing that we do not get to choose is our parents. We don't get to choose our parents. God puts us with the family that He wants us to be with. And, maybe sometimes things don't work out the way that you feel like they should have, but that is the parent you're supposed to have. And if you look, there's a lot in the Bible that talks about parents. So in Exodus chapter 20 and verse 12, it says, "Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee." So that is a commandment with promise. It's saying if you honor, which also means obey and respect, your mother and father, your days will be long. You'll live a long time. Now, if you flip over to Ephesians chapter number 6, it says, "Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor thy father and mother, which is the first commandment with promise, that it may be well with thee, and that thou mayest live long on the earth." So if you honor your mother and father, then it will be well with you. And here again it says you'll live on the earth a long time. So if you flip over, last verse, Colossians chapter 3 and verse 20. "Children, obey your parents in all things, for this is well pleasing unto the Lord." So it says to obey in all things. There's no and, ifs, or buts there. And it says it also is well pleasing unto the Lord. So when we honor and obey our parents and be respectful for them, we're promised a long life. We're promised to be well successful in the eyes of the Lord. So remember those things. It's very pleasing unto the Lord. I looked up some momisms, And here's something I know my mother used to say. She used to say, I have eyes in the back of my head. And I believe she did. Because she was always, we didn't get away with a lot of things when I was young. Eat your vegetables. They're good for you. I can always tell when you're lying. No use crying over spilt milk. If you don't learn to cook, no one's going to want to marry you. You're the oldest. You should know better. How many times do I have to tell you? Pick that up before somebody trips over it and breaks their neck. If I want your opinion, I'll ask for it. Just wait until your daddy gets home, or just wait until we get home. Why? Because I said so. That's why. One thing that I'm very thankful for with my mother is her protection. Well, she protected me and my brother when we were little from everything. We had this little going saying between me and him. Where we lived, there was speed breakers, and we were not allowed to go past the second speed breaker. And Mom could look out the window when she was washing dishes or whatever she was doing. She was normally in the kitchen. She could look out that window and see us as long as we didn't pass that second speed breaker. But I know that my mother kept us from a lot of things, a lot of harmful things, a lot of things that people, other children went through that we didn't have to go through because she kept an eagle eye on us. So, some good advice that I remember her giving me is first thing is you need to be good to people while they're alive. She said that many times, and that was like a pet peeve of hers. She couldn't stand for somebody to be mean to someone, and then when they died, all of a sudden they're buying all these stuff for their funeral, and just doing all this kind of stuff. And that was something I've always remembered her saying. Don't go by what someone tells you about a person. You go by how that person treats you. In other words, you form your own opinion. You don't, just because somebody tells you someone's mean or someone's this, that, and the other, you don't go by that. You go by what you see yourself with your own eyes. She also said, be your own person. Don't let other people tell you what to do. Don't follow other people. Be a leader. She also said, be kind. Just be kind. And this is the one that really stuck with me. If you can't say something nice about somebody, then say nothing at all. And also, she was an encourager. She told us you can do anything. You can do anything you set your mind to. That's what it was. You can do anything you set your mind to. Just don't give up. And I've always felt that way too. She told me that, and I've always been the type of person that thought, well, I can do anything I set my mind to. And another thing that she told me is you got to learn to forgive. You got to learn to forgive. Over in Ephesians, where we was just at, in verse 4:32, it says, and be ye kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God, for Christ's sake, hath forgiven you. And, I had to learn to forgive. We all have to learn to forgive. And, you need to learn to forgive your parents. Forgive your mom. Forgive your dad for anything that you might have went through. We all make mistakes. I hope that my kids will forgive me for mistakes that I've made. Experiencing God's forgiveness enables us to forgive others. When you don't forgive others, they take away some of your power. You're sitting here brooding and all upset about something that happened. They don't even give it a second thought. But it has power over you. And that situation, that person, has power over you. And they're taking some of your power away. We teach our kids how to tie their shoes. We teach them how to write their name, brush their teeth. Most important thing we need to teach them, other than Jesus Christ, is we need to teach them to forgive. They need to be taught from a young age to forgive. Like when someone tells them they're sorry, teach them to say, I forgive you. Teach yourself to say that. Forgiveness is not about being right. Not at all. It's not about whose fault it was. Forgiveness is about having peace. Maybe you have some anger in your heart, and the Lord needs to show you what you're angry about. Uncover your anger and decide to forgive. That's a decision you have to make. You have to decide to forgive. You might have to decide many times to forgive, but it releases you from an emotional prison. And unforgiveness leads to bitterness, which will destroy you. It causes you to lash out on people who love you. You take things out on people who had nothing to do with the situation. And forgiveness equals great peace. Great peace. We must learn to forgive if we're going to be successful. Forgiveness is a decision that we have to make. Satan is our enemy, and he is a liar. And he will bring these things up over and over and over again. He wants to define you. He wants to label you. He wants to take your power away and stop you from being courageous and doing the work that God has for you to do. Ultimately, he wants to destroy you. I had some things that really I was angry about. And I read a book one time by Beverly Howes, and you can actually Google this. What did Beverly Howes write about forgiveness? And you'll see some pages from some different books. But what I did after reading some of her stuff was I sit down and I just wrote. I mean, I wrote and wrote and wrote, like from the beginning of my life to that point. And I decided, okay, I've dealt with this. I'm going to forgive. I'm going to put these pages in this box, and every time Satan throws it up or it comes to my mind, I am going to say, nope, I've already dealt with that. I've got all that put in a box. It can't bother me anymore. I think what Beverly Howes did was she wrote stuff down like that, and then she buried it in her backyard. But that way you have a defense. It's like you can say, okay, nope, I've already dealt with that. You're not throwing that back at me. That's in a box. It's going to stay in the box. It's gone forever. You know, here lately, we've all been on a divine detour. I read this the other day. God knows what's going on. All this coronavirus, us being quarantined, and all the crazy things that's going on in this world. And it's probably going to get crazier before November. God knew this was happening. He's allowing it to happen for a reason. We got to trust him. We got to trust God. We got to say, okay, Lord, I know that this is happening in my life for a reason, and show me what you want me to learn. You know, it's not time to sit down on God. Not at all. You need to get up. You need, maybe we don't get to meet in the church house. I don't get to teach my Sunday school class the way I usually did. I don't get to do junior church and the different things. I don't get to go to church and be fed the way that we traditionally and always have and always thought we would be. But, I never even made a YouTube video until this happened. Never been on live. But we got to find a new way to serve God. It's not time to sit down on him. Remember that. It's time to stand up and fight. I wanted to teach a lesson on, is your relationship with Jesus worth fighting for? And the Lord laid this about mothers on my heart, so I didn't get to teach that lesson. Maybe he'll let me teach it later on. But ask yourself, is your relationship with Jesus worth fighting for? Because more than likely, you're fighting for it right now. You should be. You need to stand up and fight for your relationship with Jesus. It may get worse. It may get worse before it gets better. But it may just get worse. Some things will never be the same. Some things are changed forever from what we've been through. So it's time to stand up and fight. And I hope you all have a great day. Hope this was a blessing to you. Love y'all. See you later.